this video finds me in Palm Springs in California. It's late December. The weather here is beautiful. I'm sitting outside of my hotel room balcony, enjoying the view of the mountains, the palm trees, the pond beneath. It's actually a very beautiful place. And I just spoke to my husband and he says it's freezing on the East Coast. They had a bit of snow and some rain. So it's amazing how just one country can have vast weather conditions like this. But it led me to thinking about, some of the decisions I've made. Now I hope you can hear me because the stream is quite, the water. I hope you can hear me about the sound, the surrounding sounds. I'll try and speak loud. So just being here and enjoying the weather makes me think about some of the decisions I've made in my life, and it kind of gets me to thinking about some of the series of decisions I've made to get me to where I am in my life currently. And I have to wonder how everybody else came to the decisions that they came to. And I think last night on the flight coming here, I was talking to another lady and we were talking about, and I just loved her energy. She's so vibrant in her life and she lives fully. She was mentioning how life is short and you have to live fully in the moment, and I quite like that because I subscribe to the same school of thought. And she was telling me how she rearranges her schedule every month such that she frees up 10 days in a row to go somewhere every single month. Like she'll take 10 days to go to China, the next month she'll take 10 days to go to Tibet, and then she'll take another 10 days to go to South America. And I thought that was brilliant because I haven't been doing that, I just stay home when I'm free. And I think it's because I commute, so that means I spend time away from home, and when I get my 5 days off or 7 days off, I just want to go home and spend time with my family. That's probably why I haven't started traveling. But in addition to that, I'm working on a different dream, because everyone has a dream. Some people really, the end goal is to travel. My end goal is not necessarily to travel, but to build something, to build a brand for myself, for my family, to build a legacy, to build a dynasty, to be honest, to build a dynasty. That's really what I'm working on. So every free minute I get, I invest in building a dynasty because that's my focus. But it got me, while we were having that conversation, and I was wondering how she came to that realization, and I realized that there's two schools of thought to that, which is probably what made me take so long to make the leap, to actually decide that I can fashion my life exactly like I want it, as opposed to following somebody else's script. And here are the two schools of thought. We've got people that say you have to plan before you can jump the ship. And then we've got another whole different school of thought that says you've got to jump the ship before the plan will appear. And I think for the larger part of my life, I subscribed to the former school of thought, which kept me in place, because much as I was doing well in finance and as I was growing, and much as I felt accomplished with every new academic achievement I got, every promotion I got, and I did have some victorious moments when I worked on successful projects, I kept having this feeling that I'm a fraud, I'm in the wrong place, that this is not what I was meant to be doing with my life. And I always felt that right back to even when I was working to get my undergrad. I just felt like I'm in the wrong place. I felt like I'm an imposter and I ought to be doing something else with my life. But I had been doing it so long. Yeah, I'd done fashion before that, but somehow I'd been made to believe fashion was a hobby more than anything. And even when I was making money doing it, and I had an impressive list of clientele, and I was making some of the most gorgeous outfits, and I was making bridal, I still I thought of it as a hobby. Never you mind, I ended up quitting my finance job to focus fully on fashion because it was making me more money and I was getting more fulfillment from it. I just never once considered it as a viable alternative, as a viable option. I never once considered it as a viable alternative. So I always considered it a hobby just because of the message that had been programmed into me. So I kept thinking I want to leave finance, but I just could never decide what else I would do if I left finance. And the school of thought I subscribed to say, have a plan before you leave. So I never left. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5. I just never left because I didn't know what else I would do. And then towards the end, actually the very same year I ended up leaving, I read a book by my all-time favorite. His name is Jeff Goins. He wrote the book The Art of Work, which was released that year in May of 2015. I bought the book, I read the book, I grasped the alternative school of thought to just take the next step and the staircase would reveal itself, to jump and the parachute would open, to just go for it, to trust that the universe will show you the path you're supposed to be on. That was in May. I ended up resigning a few months later that summer. I handed in my resignation without a plan still. I didn't have a plan. I sort of had an idea I was going to get back into fashion, but then again I thought I would get back into fashion as a holding pattern to whatever else it is I was going to do. So I left, and I remember setting up a whole entire room that I said this is going to be my fashion room. I brought all my machines up, the overlock, the Singer machine, I put them all out, and then I had fashion pictures all around my wall, my inspirations. I had Victoria Beckham, of course I had plenty of Ralph Lauren, my all-time favorite designer. I had a bit of Dolce & Gabbana because I love their lacy black dresses. And then I just didn't know how to proceed after that, you know. And then I ended up taking my pilgrim journey, I call it my Eat, Pray, Love journey when I went over to Europe. I ended up finding a job in Brussels. I ended up finding a whole new career flying, and I kept thinking, well, then maybe this could be it. Okay, now I'm back in the United States with a family and still flying. And it's left me a lot of free time that I'm able to get back into fashion just as deeply as I wanted. And that just made me so happy. But more than anything, what it made me realize is, had I not been exposed to the second school of thought where you just take the next step and the whole staircase, you don't have to see the whole staircase, you just take the next step and the journey will, present itself for what it is, I would probably still be in finance. I'd probably still be, getting wins here and there, probably promoted higher, but I would probably continue to feel unfulfilled in my life, because that's really what I felt, unfulfilled. I felt unfulfilled, undiscovered, incomplete. I felt that something was off. I thought I wasn't in the place that I was supposed to be, So I'll probably still be doing that if I'd been waiting to have a plan, because I couldn't for the life of me figure out what I would do. I considered being a psychologist because I love talking to people. I'm the fixer. Like, come to me with, a problem, you're probably going to talk through it, you're going to feel better about it. So I did consider that, but I just didn't have 7 years to put back into, going back to university and getting a degree in psychology. So I put that aside. I thought about going into law because my husband says, you've got so much energy to argue cases. If you just became a lawyer, you would spare me. You would spare me all the arguments, because I do argue like a lawyer. Like, I want points, I want facts, I will make lists. I'm very thorough when I'm building my case, and my husband hates it. So he used to say, why don't you just be a lawyer? And I did consider it for a while. I looked into law school, I looked into taking my LSATs, and I was like, I don't have that time. I don't have that patience. I think what put me off was just thinking that I would have to go to court. I could never decide if I was going to do criminal justice. I didn't know if I was going to end up doing constitutional law or family law. And then I didn't want to put in the effort. And I thought, much as the idea was attractive, I didn't think it's the way I want to change the world. I didn't think it's an industry that is loving, that is kind, You eviscerate someone you love, that, if you're practicing family law and you end up in divorce court, if the person you love is losing, how do you consider that winning? There's too much heartache in that, and I'm not seeking heartache in my life. I am not seeking heartache in my life. The same thing with psychology. Much as I like to help people, just being immersed in their problems day in, day out, I think I could handle it, but I think it's too much sadness. The same reason I've never considered going into, medical care, just because I could never tolerate that much sadness. All these people dying, all these people sick. So, and then I used to, I say, fashion to me was a hobby. I considered it frivolous. How do you change the world making fashion? And I had all other misgivings about fashion and who needs one more dress. And I'll make a totally separate video about that. And if you read my blog, you probably know it's something I've been grappling with for a few months now, considering getting back into fashion full time. And I'm just grappling with the concept of minimalism, the concept of fast fashion, and the true cost. I watched the movie on Netflix, and that really raised a lot of questions for me. So I am making peace with that. I'm definitely coming to terms with how exactly I want to do fashion, and I'll be making more videos on that front. But for this particular video, I just wanted to compare and contrast the two schools of thought about, do you wait to have a plan, or do you just leave and the plan will emerge? And I'd like to hear from you what you guys think, what you've experienced in your lives, how many of you have gone on to achieve your dreams, how many of you are living your life's purpose, how many of you feel like you're right in the thick of it where you need to be, and how exactly did you go about it? And is there a third school of thought that I might have missed and know nothing about? If we could start this conversation in the comment section, I would really love to pick your brains on it so we can advance the cause and actually streamline these thoughts for ourselves, so we can be able to help others that are stuck on their journey, and we can help them by sharing our stories, how we went about it, so they would know how to go about it. I mean, my life changed from somebody sharing their story. If he hadn't written that book, I probably would still be, I'd still be locked into one school of thought. And don't let anyone prescribe to you what is right and what is wrong. Don't let anyone guilt you into thinking that what you're doing is irresponsible, because they are not the giver of your life, and they are not the keeper of you either. You know what's best for you. You know what you can tolerate. You know what you can stand, and you just go on about your business, go on about living your life exactly like you want to live it. And I'm sure we'll all get to the destinations that we all desire to get to. So yeah, leave some comments down below so we can keep the conversation going, and I really appreciate you watching. So for my returning subscribers, thank you so much for staying tuned. For my new subscribers, join GreyDynasty. And for those that are watching this video for the very first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so you can know when I upload a video. And I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye.